So here we are, reset the matchups currently for Wade's Thursday Night Football, Oakland versus KC. So you'll see that there's a lot of scores that are already affected. This matchup here, KC at 3-3 versus myself at 5-1. I've already got a 12-0 lead, but you take a look at the matchup, it's favoring her. It looks like if everything goes according to the ESPN projections, she'll be coming out on top. She's projected at 133, I'm projected at 116. So far, my Chiefs defense is getting a little manhandled by the Raiders. Travis Kelce's doing his thing, which is to be expected. But from a matchup perspective, I got stuck with a bye for Houston, and Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins I've lost for the week. So I've got to rely on Big Ben and some various other players here. That's why she's favored with Cam going up against Chicago, Jordan Howard going up against Carolina. Alvin Kamara's been stepping it up now that Adrian Peterson's gone. And then Pierre Garçon's projected for a big game. Julio Jones in the shootout. Zach Ertz has been doing his thing, and then Danielle Amendola. They're all projected for very large points this week. So, I'll take it. Congratulations, I'll give you the win already. 4-3, and that drops me down to 5-2. I've got a loss there to spare, so we're good with that. Let's move on to the next matchup. We've got Battle Cat and Fight the Fuck On, Matthew versus Kevin. And here we see that Matthew's already got 10 points from his kicker that he selected, and Kevin's got a projection of 125. Matthew's got a projection of 129. This is actually a game of the week here. I like the matchup. Matt Ryan versus Tom Brady, same game. So that's going to be a spectacular little duel there. Buck Allen's been ripping it up. Leonard Fournette's been ripping it up. Christian McCaffrey's been ripping it up. Antonio Brown's been ripping it up. So those are all very, very good plays. But then again, Mark Ingraham's been doing well. Todd Gurley's been doing well. Randall Cobb's been doing well. Ted Ginn and Devin Funchess there. Funchess had a bad game last week, but he'll probably bounce back. Ted Ginn was in double digits last week. Sammy Watkins most likely will be going up against Patrick Peterson, so that's questionable there. Then you got Kyle Rudolph versus Safari Jenkins, both serviceable tight ends. And then you got Cole Beasley versus Jeremy Maclin. So this is going to be a great matchup. I suspect there might be some changes by the end of the week, but I look forward to watching this one. Then we've got the People's Champ, Mr. Lex Swagger, who's been very, very quiet. We haven't heard from him in weeks. I heard some rumblings through the league that he was sick. So if you're sick and you're still recovering, good luck and hopefully you recover soon. Mr. Lex Swagger versus Mr. Justin Jang, Mr. Jackie Chan. Let's take a look at this. So it's pretty close. Projections are showing at 130 versus 123. Cousins going up against Philly is projected to have the highest score, high matchup there. And then Mariota has decided he's going to probably bounce back against Cleveland there, so he's probably going to have a high score as well. Running backs pretty much mirror each other, except Elliott is out of suspension there, so I'm suspecting there'll be a change. You got Blunt versus Anderson. Montgomery's still slotted in there, but he didn't do too well last week. Jordan Nelson might be feeling the effects of the injury to Aaron Rodgers. Kelvin Benjamin, Deshaun Jackson, AJ Green, Des Bryant, Marquise Lee. He's already got Jared Cook playing right now. He's got 5 points for the matchup tonight. Then you've got Gronk. So this is going to be a very good matchup as well. I like the way the projections are being scored and calculated. It's going to be pretty close. So let's move on to Joaquin versus Angie. Angie, we feel free, you lost Aaron Rodgers last week, but you got a serviceable backup QB there in Dak Prescott, so it's just not as scary as Rodgers. So we'll take a look at that. So right now, Joaquin, his projections are showing at 94, and Angie's projections are showing at 130. Some changes. I'm assuming you're going to sub out your kicker here, but other than that, I mean, like last week, your projections were very low against me, and you ended up scoring a lot of points. So We'll see what happens. Anything happens on game day. But right now, Tariq Hill's already got 17 points, and Crabtree, who's been your double-digit producer all year, only has 4 points at the half. But that could change in the second half. So, Trevor Siemian versus Dak Prescott, both good matchups. There should be having good scores there. Chris Ivory did very, very well last week, supporting and backing up Leonard Fournette. Le'Veon Bell, of course, is going to do his thing. Carlos Hyde's been up and down. James White's been kind of up and down. Devontae Booker was also a nice plug-in. He had a very good game last week. John Brown had a good game. Demarius Thomas had a good game. T.Y. Hilton maybe will bounce back, but the Jaguars' defense is no joke. And then you've got Evan Ingram, who's a top target for Eli Manning, so that's a good play there, versus Delaney Walker against a horrible Cleveland defense. Then you got Matthews, and then Jaguars defense versus Steelers defense. So overall, if let's say 94 points, I would say that you have a legitimate shot, and we're just going to see what happens on game day there. Okay. So taking a look at the next matchup. Rested Bitchface or Evelyn versus the one and only Miss V. So, right now as it stands, Rested Bitchface or Evelyn's got a sub in a quarterback there. Probably make some other lineup changes, but Violet's got Derek Carr in there. Derek Carr is doing amazing right now. He's got 21 points at the half, so that's very, very good. DeAndre Washington only has a cast there. I'm confused as to why a lot of you 1-5 teams keep using him. He hasn't really broken out past a couple of points yet. So I'm just a little confused, but hey, you know what? He may erupt and in the second half get 2 touchdowns or something like that. So taking a look at it, Ellington had a poor game last week because of Adrian Peterson coming and doing so well. Personally, I probably would have put Forte in and left Ellington in there. But hey, Monday morning quarterback, I'm not. DeMarco Murray is a good, solid play, but it was really Derrick Henry that toted the rock last week. Duke Johnson Jr. is going to have a good game this week. Devontae Adams, well, it's depending upon Aaron Rodgers and his injury. Fitzy's been doing well all season. Jeffrey's going to have a great game against Washington, especially with the cornerbacks all injured. And then I'm supposing you're going to sub in somebody from Marvin Jones here, probably Adrian Peterson. And then from a tight end perspective, you have to choose between Jimmy Graham and Ben Watson. Here on this side, it's not so bad once you get past the running backs. Eric Decker's doing well, or did well last week. Doug Baldwin's doing well this season. Chris Hogan didn't do well last week, but he's been doing well all season. And then Zach Miller's going to be a number 1 target for Trubisky over Chicago. Jermaine Kearse has been doing great. So this matchup is going to be a lot closer than suspected. And so we'll see how that shakes out on Sunday. And then last but not least, let's move into the last matchup of the week. And that is Robert, the roomie, versus Ralph. And again, Ralph's got a powerhouse team here, so he's projected at 150 points. Robert, I'm sorry, but ESPN is saying you're going to be at about 119. And already off the bat, right now, with tonight's game, Alex Smith has got 20 points at the half, and then Kareem Hunt's already got 11 points. But it's not over, my friend. It's not over. You got Drew Brees going up against a very weak Green Bay defense. Latavius Murray, I see that you slotted in there, so it's a little bit of a desperation play. But Chris Thompson's been doing well. Michael Thomas is going to bounce back. Brandon Cooks is going to have a big game. Stephon Diggs against Baltimore should do very well. Hunter Henry hopefully will bounce back. Nelson Aguilar against Washington is going to do well. Their quarterbacks are injured. And then Carolina defense versus Chicago. Don't be worried. This is looking bad, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than we think. Smith, Kareem Hunt doing their thing. Sean McCoy been doing very well. Thielen's been posting double digits all year. So is Keenan Allen. And Javaris Landry, number 1 target there. Cameron Brate's been getting touchdowns from, now it's going to be Fitzpatrick. And he found him in the end zone last week. Jay Ajayi has been stepping it up lately. And then you got a good Bills defense going up against the Tampa Bay offense with no Jameis Winston. So overall, great lineup. I'm projecting that this is going to be a good game, a lot closer than people think. So that's the end of Week 7 pregame analysis, and we'll see you all on Sunday and see how it shakes out. Take care.